Now here I am thinking, how this life that I know you're calling me to is so far from that. And so I said, Lord, if you've ever got anything that you want me to do, I said, Lord, if you'll speak to me in a way that I can understand. I never knew God spoke to anybody. That wasn't a part of my background. I never, well, not one time. But that's what I'm saying. Lord, if you've ever got anything you want me to do, if you'll speak to me clearly in a way I can understand. And I said, and if you'll give me the strength, by the strength you give me, I'll follow you. He didn't, that wasn't in his message. It wasn't in my background. And God began to speak to me. And I was so shaken because I thought maybe I'm the only one in the whole world. For a while I felt alone. It sounds egotistical, but it wasn't. It was fearful that the God of heaven would speak to me. And I grew up singing these songs like, and he walks with me and he talks with me and he tells me I am his own. But those are just beautiful songs. I never thought they were literal. And my sheep hear my voice, they know my voice and they follow me. I mean, that's pretty and poetic, but who would have thought? Well, anyway, when we leave the church, I'm on an emotional roller coaster. I'm in a heavenly high, and then all of a sudden I'm in the depths of an earthly fear because I promised lots of things. When you're drunk, you promise every time you get in trouble. You promise. Well, you pray these pickle prayers. Oh, Lord, you get me out of this, I'll never, blah, blah, blah. And never had I kept my word on anything. And so now I've got this awesome high, but at the same time, I've got this fear that this could be like all the other times. And I can't, it's unthinkable that I lose this. And yet I don't know how. I'm just in turmoil. And we're driving home. I got cold beer sloshing in the van between my wife and on the way home. I mean, I always had something to drink. Even at the church I had it. And on my way home, I'm telling my wife, I said, honey, I think maybe the Lord could help me to be a Christian. I know what's happened is real, but I don't know if I can be a good, and I mentioned the church where she was going at the time.
Right.
And my wife said the most amazing thing that I've ever heard any woman say ever to her husband. My wife said to me, well, honey, you pray about it. And if the Lord shows you we're to be someplace else, I'll go with you.
That is, yeah.
This is where she was anchored. This is where she's being fed. It's this Bible study. It's this teacher.
Right.
It's the camaraderie of the ladies that are all struggling together. And she's willing to walk away. She's willing to walk away.
Mm-hmm.
If this man who has been off the bottle for an hour or 2 hours, however long, and given me the reason to believe that if I'll pray and God will show me and then she'll follow. And Pastor Wayne, I mean, you know her. She's been doing that ever since.
She's an amazing woman.
And that responsibility, that freedom, that faith, whatever you want to call it, it so drove me to find and do the right thing. Because I realized if I go the wrong way, she's going to follow me. It's a fearful thing. It's a great thing. It's a wonderful thing. But I don't know how you're ever going to get this story into short, bite-sized, digestible pieces. But for me, it's all one line. It's all one linear thing. And I realized, Pastor Wayne, in my job, I used to I was a motivational speaker for the kids, getting them all fired up and go sell, and whatever. And every once in a while, after a group of maybe 200 or 300 kids, elementary kids usually, one little child would come up and said, I remember you from church. And I would say, well, honey, what church you go to? She would tell me, and I said, well, honey, I've never been to that church. Wasn't going to church anyway. And they'd say, yeah, don't you remember you were the speaker and you came, and they thought that I was the pastor or the evangelist or whoever had visited. They were mistaking me, and it happened enough that it began to get a little unsettling. Looking back, I realized I don't know if you want to call it an anointing, whatever you want to call it, but that God gives us gifts.
Yeah.
Even when we're sinners. That seed of what He's put in us is there.
Yeah.
Even though He can't really use it much. But that was the beginning for me